What was the dumbest rule your school enforced? If you were involved in a fight, you got suspended. While it sounds reasonable, context didn't matter. I got suspended once, not for throwing a single punch, kick, whatever. I got suspended because someone knocked the books out of my hand, and when I reached down to grab them they punched me in the face. I got suspended for walking down the hallway and unprovoked getting punched in the face. Duck Brandon Valley Middle School. My buddy got suspended for something similar. His Marine Corps MP mother told him in no uncertain terms that if anyone tried that poop again, earned suspension. Ducking, surprise surprise. The dude tried that again and he went ham on that kid. Busted nose, torn ear, black and blue for weeks. The fallout was exactly the same as not fighting back at all, except my buddy got a pat on the back from his mom and a new video game. Tell you what, no one tried that with him again. If it was not zero tolerance, then it would not be a problem. Someone gives you some physical trouble and they get punished. Easy peasy. They have got cameras everywhere. Surely it would be pretty easy to see. My high school mascot was Dandy Alboon holding a musket. A kid wore a Guns N' Roses shirt to school and was told he had to change shirts because of the pistols on the shirt. He pointed out the hypocrisy of the school mascot and they changed everything. The mascot was switched to holding a flagpole instead. Every instance of the mascot was changed, from the multiple signs outside and around the school to the giant picture in the middle of our basketball stadium. Holden, you are a ducking legend for this. Hey, at least this shows a consistent internal logic and lack of hypocrisy on the part of school admin, although definitely a lack of self-awareness too. No backpacks to class, but purses were allowed. Girls started carrying around purses big enough to be considered a backpack. Guys got pissed, started carrying purses too. Laughing my butt off. Also, I did just bring my books in a microwave. Or you could go the tall girl way and carry around a milk crate. Suspension as a punishment for skipping school. Do not want to come to school? Well, now you cannot. Until next week. And no tank tops in a desert climate. Because shoulders are too sexy for school. Grade 12, I got suspended 3 days out of school for skipping school. Parents did not even have to call in for me. It was great. This happened at my school too. Funny enough, the principal switched it from suspension to Saturday in school suspension. I went to Saturday school once and I never skipped school without a forged note again. Everyone had to eat lunch silently. No talking. On Fridays. A girl and a boy could not sit together. The school employed disciplinarians to roam around the school and monitor this activity. If found, you will get a reprimand. If found repeating the offense, you get sent to the principal office, and if continuing, then eventually escalated to the parents, etc. LOL. My parents would have just laughed if my school called to tell them I sat next to a girl. In my freshman year of high school, we had a terrible vandalism problem. The bathrooms would be broken in various ways almost constantly. In a stroke of pure genius, the staff decided that any bathroom that was vandalized would be closed for the week on first offense, the quarter for second, and permanently on the third offense. They took back the rule after closing every bathroom on day one. Holy poop, recently at my high school someone stole a ducking urinal. I have no clue how someone manages to do that. That takes some Ocean S11 level planning right there. All the kids 6th or 7th grade started putting pink laces in their shoes. Don't know why, but the school officials banned colored laces, saying pink is a gang color. Might have been for breast cancer awareness. I would have known if it was for that. If I remember correctly, it was the kids' way of saying F you to the school banning red and blue laces. Can you guess why? Because kids were fighting over if Sonic was better than Mario and vice versa. In 6th grade they switched out all student chairs for large rubber stability balls. There was a strict no bouncing rule. It was a disaster. This would not work with any age group, let alone 6th graders. Actually, we have those in one classroom in HS. Only because the teacher who has classes there is a bit nuts. At first everyone was bouncing on them, but we got bored of it after some time. These bouncy balls are supposedly good for your back and I love them. But it would be an absolute nightmare in primary school. They are good for your back if you also have an option to sit on something with a backrest. To let your back muscles relax. 8 hours of constantly stabilizing yourself is not the greatest idea. We were all given these ugly planners at the beginning of the school year, with a few pages at the back filled with hall passes. If you did not have your planner, or if all your boxes were filled, you were not allowed to go to the bathroom. And no, you could not buy a new planner, or borrow one from your friend. The only excuse you had was if you had a doctor's note. But no doctor is going to give a note for an upset stomach caused by the school lunch. Oh wow, I totally forgot about this until you said this. We had those too. Some teachers gave extra credit to kids who never used any of their hall passes. I went to a school that had block scheduling, so our classes were 2 hours long. Pretty messed up that we were incentivized to never use the bathroom. Now that I think back on that, God, my middle school did too. You had a page of hall passes and I think you had like 6 for a quarter. You could use them to go to your bathroom or your locker if you forgot your homework or something. If you didn't use them, you got extra credit. I think I used one once the whole time I was in middle school because I had forgotten my homework in my locker. I later developed Crohn's disease around age 17 and I am terrified to think what it would have been like in middle school pre-diagnosis and thus pre-doctor's note. No playing on the mini golf course. Due to the school having mineral rights on oil land in the mid-70s, our school system had huge amounts of money. One thing they did was get 9 concrete animals on the playground for miniature golf. These looked like a lot of fun to play on for kids. And they were concrete, so they were indestructible. They took up 1/3 of the absolute center of the playground. We could not touch them, play on them or get anywhere near them. In pay we broke out the putters once in all of grade school. A few years later they had the high school seniors take them out with sledgehammers. Probably a stupid liability issue. Kids fall off stuff. No fist bumps. Their reason for this is that kids might accidentally punch the other person in the face. The school I went to was in a pretty rough area, so there were a lot of incidents where kids ended up getting into fights. How stupid do you have to be to punch someone in the ducking face amidst a fist bump? Just clever enough to punch someone in the face and claim it was an attempted fist bump. They banned wristwatches. No one knows what the reason was. It is a gateway clock. Before you know it, people will start bringing pocket watches, then wall clocks, then grandfather clocks. And before you know it, some kid walks in with Big Ben. Then what do you do? My brother is addicted to Big Bens. Rough man, last year he spent all his money on gear wheels and batteries. I believe the street term is Big Benzos. We cold and tea wear winter clothing, jackets, hats, gloves in class because they were gang symbols. This was a small farm town in Wisconsin. Besides obviously having no gangs, it was ducking cold, even indoors, in the winter. But clearly wearing warm clothing is something only gangs do. Also small town Wisconsin. We weren't able to wear jackets or anything like that in class either for literally the same reason. One kid came into class wearing snow boots and the teacher told him to put them back in his locker. So he came back with his farm boots that smelled like straight manure. You knew where he was for the rest of the day. They banned hats because hats can be used to signify gang colors. The only major crime group in our area was the Heck Yes Angels, and they certainly weren't having people wear hats for children to signify their allegiance. It was so bad a few years after I graduated I came back to volunteer as a chaperone for a school trip as a favor for my favorite teacher. The principal saw me wearing a beanie from across school. He literally sprinted half a mile to chase me down and tell me to take off the hat. When I told him I wasn't a student and didn't have followed the dress code, he said either take off the hat, leave, or he'd call the cops. It wasn't the actual day of the trip. Just had to show up to get the itinerary and stuff, so I just said, "Duck you. I am out. Idiots." Prom was a mandatory lockdown for the night in order to avoid students going to parties after prom. Prom was held at various house parties across town instead. I hate it when schools shove their noses into everyone else's business. My school would do that all the time. You get caught with weed or alcohol or even something less bad outside of school on your own time. The school would hear about it and you got punished at school. Took all the doors off the men's room bathroom stalls because of vandalism for 2 months. Same at my school. But for all 4 years. We had no TP or mirrors either. No TP. What did you use then? If I had to poo, I did walk home. Shoes are to be worn as the manufacturer intended. I have no clue who was wearing their shoes incorrectly or how, but this line, verbatim, was repeated to us over the morning announcements when there were perceived infractions at various points throughout the year. Maybe people were drawing on their shoes. I did that, and I feel like that is the point of having cons. Middle school had banned salt and pepper from being used in the cafeteria. Claimed it was too unhealthy. Still sold Mountain Dew in the vending machines. School I used to teach at had similar rules. Some bullshit about federal nutrition standards or something. We had just keep them in the teacher's lounge along with hot sauces and chamoy and a few other condiments and leave them on our desks. As a student, I brought my own hot sauce to school, right next to my pot. Our school banned hugging because it was erotic. As you can imagine, the boys at school started giving each other very sensual high fives for the rest of the year. Talk about homosexuality. Permission to use this word in my everyday vernacular. Permission granted. You couldn't wear any kind of head items that were gang colors red or blue. This included hair bands, scrunchies, beads in your hair, ribbons, anything. I got in trouble for wearing a blue hairband with white polka dots. Don't joke about the polka dot cartel. What a great band name. In grade 8, we were banned from standing in circles at recess because of potential scandalous activity going on in the middle. We stood in squares instead. For a while in my school, groups of kids would stand in circles shouting fight, 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 until a teacher came to break up the non-existent fight. God, we were assholes. I wish my students would do imaginative and actually kinda funny stuff like this, rather than the incomprehensibly childish and boring regular kid stuff that is as tedious to solve as it is embarrassing to all involved. Edit: if one of you guys is responsible for the fake fire alarm today. That is not what I meant. Attended all-girls high school. You had to bring a male date to dances or not attend at all. No going solo or with your girlfriends. So backwards. Those sound like very empty dances. Sounds like a plot to get no one to show up so the school can just cancel dances entirely and not spend the money. I had a neighbor who went to Catholic school and she said a lot of girls would bring their brother. We had to wear belts. Someone snitched that people were not wearing belts under their sweaters, and they actually checked and a bunch of people got detentions. Stupid. We had belt raids at my school where the dean would burst into classes, completely interrupting any education, to check that everyone was wearing a belt. We got to understand him though. How could you possibly learn anything without a belt on to retain the information? They decided everything bad happened in the last 5 minutes of lunch, so it got 5 minutes shorter each year. Any group more than 5 had to be up to no good. So no groups over 5. Oh us. This is just 2 groups of 3. School banned them. It's clearly a gang war now. No jackets. They think we may hide things like phones or bombs there. I hope you grew up in Hawaii. Nope. Grew up in Indonesia. Does Hawaii have such rules too? Hawaii is known for good weather. They banned the word snap, since everyone used it instead of poop. So we all just started saying poop. The snap ban lasted about 3 days. I pooped my pencil snapped, I mean shat. Bro, someone just took a giant snap in the urinal. You got to check this snap out. You got in trouble if you wore just a Hanes white t-shirt after school because you were in your underwear. Might as well just wear your literal underwear to make a statement. Or just strip entirely. Involved in a fight. Same punishment regardless of fault, and this led to more dangerous fights due to everyone just going for it. Saw people use chairs, cricket bats and anything just to hand. Getting expelled from the school was really hard as it was the last chance school in the area, and after that it was the special reform school. My high school did this. And it was not the last chance school. Just a normal public high school. It was such a dumb rule. I got in trouble once for this because I defended myself. Like WTF.